Welcome you back. So, we are going to Brockenbury to find that lady Animancer, whatever she is, to look into our souls and see what kind of split personality our elven friend has. I'm so bad with names. What is his name again? Aloth. Animancers. Yeah, that's the place we want to go. Who are you?
Greetings.
A woman stands in the shade of the guard, muttering to herself. She's fixated on the pages of a large, well-worn tome. Do you mind? I'm rather busy. What are you busy with? I'm studying soul attachments. We all know that souls move into people at birth and out of them at death. But we still have a lot of questions about what makes them stick, so to speak. What do you mean by stick? Well, soul power bodies and give their tissues life, but only when they're firmly attached. Its separation leads to a whole spate of soul-related ailments, including the hoverboard. But if we understood how to reattach souls, we could end Waidwin's legacy, maybe even conquer death. That's the theory anyways. Unfortunately, I don't have all of the research I need to put into the practice. What exactly do you need? Well, there's a manuscript called The Theorems of Pangram. It contains research from Pangram's experience. The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rumored to have a copy in the Elder Archives. The Hall of Revealed Mysteries. Pangram's work is considered to be one of the more daring animancy texts, not something generally circulated among novices, nor easy to get hold of. I wonder if we might have a peek at it. The theorems could have advanced my research by leaps and bounds, but Grimda, the High Archivist, worships Vael, which means she has some paradoxical views on sharing and restricting knowledge. And since she's not exactly a proponent of animancy, she tends to restrict the kinds of information that would be useful to me. That sounds very blunt and dwarvish. Well, it's her decision. That's what all her scriveners say. I should probably get back to my work. I have some question about this Pangra, such as what are the Elder Archives? The Elder Archives hold the rarest, most arcane, and most powerful text in their world. Think of the Inner Sanctum Hall, think of it as the inner sanctum of the Hall of Revealed Mysteries. Needless to say, you need Grimda's permission to enter. Why doesn't Grimda lend you the books? The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rather protective of its books, especially the rarer ones. And Grimda is particular. She hates animancy. Thinks it's dangerous. I don't see how you can run the greatest library in Durwood and be so adverse to spread knowledge. Some knowledge is best kept under lock and key. Probably right. Okay. And what is Theorem's Pangram? The Pangram was an animancer working in Durwood. He had some interesting theories about essence and some rather innovative techniques for studying it. He was able to reattach souls to bodies after death, although he wasn't able to prevent his patients from degenerating. It was controversial, to say the least, but many are starting to realize that he was merely ahead of the time. So, he was a necromancer in a way? Is that what you're telling me? What do you mean by degenerating? Well, there seems to be a tiny problem with reattaching a soul after death. The bodies will reanimate and may even retain memories and personality, but they develop a hunger for flesh, living, soul-infused flesh. Without it, they start to devolve, decaying mentally and physically. If the process goes too far, which it eventually does, they become mindless corpses, attacking anything that moves. We haven't figured out a way to avoid that. This is more than an inconvenient side effect. You reproduce an unnatural curse with little to show for it. It sounds like necromancy. Nonsense! Necromancy is magic. This is science! Thank you, that's all I wanted to know. Farewell. I'll leave you alone. Okay, perfect. west to Copper Lane. Let's go inside here. I think this is the place we're looking for. We're definitely gonna go to that library as well. Who knows? Maybe there's some information in there that can help us further. Sanatorium guard. Novels. Books. Plenty. Poetry. The white wins out past my vision. Its fierce eyes watch me as I move. The wolf tracks my step. A silent companion who will not join. All is blank. The pale expanse lies before and behind. Probably something to sell. The most unfortunate tale of Favia and Bernard. A Valen tragedy. Head Warden Ethelmore. Is he talking to the statue? This man's soul was torn asunder by Bivak. As you can see, the patient is unresponsive, common after soul trauma. The animatus places a small stone upon the patient's forehead. The portion of his soul was recovered near his body. We used the stone as the vessel for transfer. Can you hear me, Oswin? The patient's eyes slowly open before a panicked, wild expression washes over him. Unfortunately, the extended dislocation has permanent side effects. The patient becomes more agitated, grunting and moaning as he tugs at his bonds. With further research, we're confident that we'll be able to rehabilitate patients like Oswin. These look like Vikings up here. Okay. Saint Waven's farmer become god. Definitely interesting story bits and ends everywhere. Yermit, what the hell are you? Oh, you're also a god thingy, but you're a story of an backer. Psalm of Vodka. The midwife's memoirs.
Quick and quiet.
Animancy in the modern age. Any secret books or something like that? Sanatorium guards. Dear customs. Take that with me. I wonder if opening books, like the information, or having them in your inventory, does apply. Does do something to the knowledge of your character, like if you can respond differently or something like that. I'm curious what's happening here with this poor soul.
Hello.
Hello. Have you come to sit in? What is it you do here? Close as we are to the Glanthadden Wilds, we get a number of bivouac maimings every year. Survivors dealing with complications from exposure. This fellow here is a severe case. His essence is a mere whisper of what it was. I'm early in my research, only beginning to understand how they work, but in time, I hope to find a way to protect people from the storm effects. Okay. That might be intriguing. Wait, the head warden is a statue? A well-maintained statue of a middle-aged man presides over the room, looking down, unblinking over the bustles of harried academics pestered by the hopeful desperate. It has been some time since a watcher graced these halls. I'm envious of your natural insight, traveler. I can only imagine how it might have helped my work and my life. Now, what is it that brought you to my sanatorium? What? You may have a member of the Latin key in your midst. I could have done without hearing that today. Many have their intrusions been into our affairs. Of course, one can seldom be certain whether they've meddled or whatever calamity has struck on its own. but a few of their less skilled infiltrators have been exposed from time to time. They are a perpetual nuisance. Once again, I'm reminded of how envious I am of your gifts. I suspected there would be some of use in verifying one's identity. You are at odds with the Leiden key as well, I take it? They're up to something, and I'm trying to determine what. They're always up to something. Of that you may rest assured. If their plots have come to involve you, you have my sympathies. You have some idea of who this person might be? I won't know until I meet them. Very well, in that case, I would recommend you speak first with our residents animators. They have frequent interactions with both patients and colleagues. You'll find them up here in the office downstairs. You'll report anything suspicious to me immediately. This is my only request. Okay. I'm curious, how do you come to be in a statue? In a statue, you mean? Well, I was old, and it seemed wrong to me, a lifetime spent in pursuit of discovery, only to lose it all in death. Somewhere, someday, would wake up in a new body, none the wiser, and pursue a different course entirely. All that experience wasted. If we are ever to unearth the principles behind our existence, it will be in spite of our condition. Of that I am quite sure. Wow, what a mentality. I would never, ever, ever do that. To live on as part of something I helped build seemed to me better legacy than what nature had in store. The transfer itself was quite simple as your techniques go, and for that I'm grateful. Playing with souls is far easier to accept when they are not your own. I do miss being able to take an active role in the scholarly efforts here. Now and again, one of my animators will humor me and consult over some problems, but they're a jealous breed and are often too afraid to collaborate. If you're considering it yourself, I can tell you that it isn't for the easily bored. Okay. Does anyone here know of something about awakenings? There is an animator in the lower floor who came all the way from Revua to study them. Take the stairs down and look for Bella Sege. Farewell. Okay, let's question him about suspicious activity.
Gods keep you.
Do you know anything about awakenings? I'm afraid that's not my area of expertise.
Gods keep you.
I'd like to know more about the sanitarium. It's the mission that attracted me here, the treatment of the disturbed. I've seen a couple of cured, insatiable hungers and uncontrollable urges. I've seen crippled walk, the dysphoric smile, all within these walls. Is that so? Okay. Okay, I guess it's not talking to you. Animators. We're the Animaniacs. Dragon Lady, how you doing? Welcome in.
Slow and silent.
The painting of the rolling forest, Glen. Okay. Guess we have to talk downstairs with the people to see who might be suspicious. Oh, yeah, suspicious. I'm gonna take the loading screens in between too. Shove some snacks in my face. Am I the only one who's reloaded the stream to get chat working? Could be a little iffy thing from YouTube side, so probably not. Mordred. Bella Seaga. Okay, that's the character we're looking for. You look suspicious. You have a knife. You have a knife. In a corner of Mordred's lab rests a large trunk. It seems likely to contain something important, if only by virtue of its size. Examine the trunk. The lack of dust on the trunk's surface and the long scratches on the tile flooring suggest that the trunk is frequently used and moved throughout the laboratory despite its considerable size. Deep yet narrow gouges score the wood at the edges. They look like claw marks. Wait, what? Leave the trunk alone. Why? Is there something inside? The Animancer scribbles feverishly on a parchment scroll while his free hand dances through the air, counting up unseen objects. Keep in mind, Chad, we're looking for an imposter here. As her shadow falls over his scroll, he looks up with mingled perplexity and irritation.
Welcome.
Can I help you? Anything unusual happening around here? Must be joking. This is the sanatorium, and nothing is usual down here. Although, now that I think of it, the patient seems more agitated lately, but they're Caitman's Azo's responsibility, not mine. Then, if there's nothing else, what are you working on? My area focuses Bichts, more specifically, how to cure them. Oh, the child. So I guess there's a child locked in that box there because of the scratches. What's a Bicht? A hollowborn who received a transplanted animal soul during infancy. One of the Animancy's early efforts to cure the legacy, if not successfully won. They show signs of development abnormalities throughout the childhoods, but when they reach adolescence, they become aggressive, feral, but still victims in need of care. Transplanting an animal's souls into children seems like an odd solution. We Animancers were trying to do something about the crisis, better than letting it swallow a generation of children. And despite the controversy, it only went so far because at first it seemed to work. People called it the salvation. Children that had never been responsive to any kind of stimuli suddenly seemed aware of their surroundings, of their families. Complications don't begin until puberty, but that's when the incompatibilities between body and soul take shape. Children become violent, ravenous. But we paid dearly for our mistake, I promise you. Angry mobs hunted down Animancers and burned down their homes. With them still inside, often as not. People took to calling it the cruel salvation, and many still love us for it. But we wanted to stop the legacy as much as anyone. The public begged for help, and we did the best we could. Why do you study the Wichts? What kind of question is that? Just think of all the families that could be healed, the lives that could be restored. What could be more important? Animancy has an answer here. I know it. It's simply a matter of working it out. Okay. Just looking around. Have a good one. The man who waits. Mordred mentioned that the Centurion patients are more agitated than normal, and that Kedman also is responsible for their care. Okay, so the patients are more agitated. The Ripley. The Ripley? Like the Ripley from Alien? Note from Azo. Ripley, I require more copper tubing for my next experiment. Do not requisition it from the sanatorium stores. I don't have the time to deal with the head warden's inevitable questions. Kedman Azo. Okay.
I'll have it in no time.
That is weird.
I can do that.
Not a problem.
Hail
Ripley?
and well met.
Hey, Ma, you startled me. Are you supposed to be in here? What are you doing here? I mostly help Master Azo set up clean his equipment. I also keep his office organized, since he's too busy to do it himself. Anything else? Do you know of an expert in awakening? Master Azo's assistant? I see. Gotcha. No disturbing. What the f... The edges of the cage were dented and scored with claw marks.
And what does the flame reveal?
What the fuck? So does the chat work now, Dragon Lady? Okay, nothing inside here.
I'll see what I can find.
You are the one we want to talk to. Why do you have a torture chamber in your room as well? Frankly, trying to do in PoE, exactly. Pillars of Eternity, and not. Oh, thanks, Hans.
Greetings.
The woman paces back and forth, her feet crunching on the soft red carpet. She gestures and mumbles to herself, shaking her head. She pores over pages of notes. She almost walks into you. Kosi, here I am, looking so hard for answers in my research that I do not see the kith standing in front of me. What can I do with you? Have you noticed anything unusual allowed here lately? It is rare for me to notice things that I do not relate my work to, even when they are in front of me. Sientere, amico, but I'm not the best choice of help with that. Something else you need? I'm looking for an expert on awakenings. Ak, that would be me. For the lack of research subjects has made me more of an expert in counting floorboards. I would like to transfer Animancy's success in buttressing pre-awakened souls to soothe those whose souls have already awakened. But I need subjects, and most of the patients here are too broken to procure or to produce reliable results. It is a tragedy to come so far for nothing. It will work once it does, but it had to start 3 times before. Had the same yesterday, and if I need to refresh for something, it can't happen again. That is weird. Maybe have a Google for it, Dragon Lady? Well, you're in luck. I am your volunteer. Galarde, who is it? I don't know about this. She grins more broadly. Don't be silly. The process is perfectly harmless. All you must do is stand in that cage. I beg your pardon? I jest. You Darians are so uptight. Do not even know what the thing is used for. You belong to the last occupant of this office, I think. Now they upgrade him to a cell? Again, I jest. She rubs her hands together, getting down to business. So, I need you to sit here. She takes Aloth by the shoulders and steers him to the couch. Try to relax, but don't try too hard. Then you will not be relaxing. Indeed. And you must also wear these. A little cold, but the copper would help conduct your essence. The Animancer fastens thick copper bands to Aloth's forehead and wrists, and she ratchets them tighter. His face twitches with suppressed irritation. Now, I will examine your soul through my scope. She reaches into her desk and produces a long chambered tube. Knob styles and small toothed wheels run along the side of it. It is fitted with the Adra lenses, cut to different thickness and concavities. By manipulating them, I find the angles and densities that will allow me to track the anomalies in your soul. How exciting! I've never seen this sort of thing performed. It seems suitably complicated. Does this mean that we'll get to talk to Isilmir more? I like that lady. But first we must find this cunning interloper. You will answer some personal questions while I make adjustments. Don't worry, I'm sure we won't hear any of it. Very well. She holds a scope to her eye and flicks a knob. To begin, tell me something personal, something from a time before your awakening. There's nothing to tell, I'm just a normal child living in Sithwood. He looks at you, his face is set in a frown, but the ridge's edges of the apprehension show through nevertheless. What do you remember about your home? As you speak to Aloth, you feel your voice like a bell in your chest. It tolls softly, luring him into the mists of his own memory. Belasega doesn't seem to notice anything, but you feel as if your words are smoothing his essence, untangling its many threads. He closes his eyes. Everybody close your eyes. And go on a trip with Aloth here to his past. My home. Comfortable. Modest. Quiet when Mother is away, which is most of the time. Quiet enough to hear the clink of glass on wood. This is when I know to be most careful. Father is good about hiding the bottles. Mother, when she's home, is good at pretending not to notice them. This is good. I'm starting to see something. Continue. Tell us about the time you awakened. I'm in my 5th year of training. Mother's home. I can let my guard down a little because when she's around, he usually only angry with her. So he had a drunk father? I see. But he has heard that I have trouble casting missiles, that my flame shields are unstable. He is furious that I failed, and Mother's presence reminds him that he has failed too. Failed too in what? The first blow takes me by surprise. One moment I'm sweeping the kitchen, the next I'm sprawled on the ground, stupidly looking at flecks of my blood on the tile. His boots, glistening with fresh polish, thud across the floor. He kicks me in the stomach, and I curl up to shield my vitals. But it's pointless. Protecting one thing only leaves something else exposed. Still huddled on the ground, I retreat as fast as I can. I retreat until the vision of the kitchen and my own trembling knees is nothing but a pinprick against a field of black. His jaw locks and his eyes twitch beneath their lids. Madicho. He's hypnotized himself with this old memory. You've got to bring him out of it. Quickly. I almost have it. This is just a memory. It isn't real. His eyes snap open, but the expression you see isn't his. And with about those riddles, ye see the space twixt your ears. They're real enough for ye. Lexi sucks a deep breath through her teeth. That's it. I'm seeing a shift in his essence. Something spreading and congealing. Keep talking. He seems to respond to you. What brought you here? Cracking bones and voices high in ire. That warm molasses feeling that crisps down your gut when crisis is nigh. Perfetto. We have flares of totally distinct essence. Now try to get the two of them talking. Isilmir, tell Aloth why you've awakened. Why, he's the one needing me, hiding in his own bone bag like a turtle in a shell. Aloth's face twists in a fury. I never turned it over to you. Good, yes, very good. She rests from her scribbling only to make another adjustment to her scope. I can now see two separate patterns of essence. Where he ebbs, the other flows. It is as if the awakened soul fills the spaces that he leaves empty. She prompts you with a circling of her wrist, still quill stand in hand. Go on. Aloth, what is this about ceding space to Isilmir? I've given her nothing. She usurps me in my own body. Aye, and I lent him a pair too. Ye should ask with I did that old man of his, how the last time he laid a hand on us, I break it in 3 places. Aloth's head jerks on the side. So, the punching of his father and being abused by him being a drunk and getting hit triggered the awakening in the soul, basically a second persona. Very often you see that also in split personality people, that traumatizing moments creates a different persona to either protect themselves mentally or make them more aggressive to be able to defend themselves with that situation. That wasn't your decision. It's never been your decision. I was awakening, but now I'm stuck with ye. And damned if I let your ninning drag us both through the scupper. Ah, very good. I think we've finally got something we can work with. I've tracked Isilmir's essence throughout the exchange. She had a particularly high density index during the most heated portions of their arguments, and her essence seemed to be localized most clearly in the lower portions of the subject's left ribcage. That's right, around the spleen, which of course means that she's triggered by black bile. No doubt the subject's characteristic melancholy is to blame. Aloth blinks back at you, and in the midst of the perturbation, you're not quite sure, is looking out of his eyes. That's utter horseshit. Sunny's eyes are wide and innocent. It does seem as though she got one thing right. Yes, never mind my years of training. I suppose you have a better explanation? Isilmir manifests when Aloth is in danger or under pressure. I suppose that could be true. I have to check this against other research. He removes the copper bands. Well, and good for you, but what does that mean for me? Jessica frowns at her notes, tapping her cheek with a quill and making a grand show of concentration. However, you catch her stealing a glance at you over the pages. She did you a favor by dealing with your father, didn't she? I think she's trying to help you stand up for yourself. You may not like her methods, but you should hear her out. If you had to listen to her half as much as I do, you wouldn't say that. He scowls, but you notice something thoughtful in his frown. I've got a lot to process, regardless. Thank you for your help, Dwanmore. She sets her notes on the desk. Well, I hope this has been as useful to you as it has been to me. I found the material worth publishing. A bit of toast of revoir, Fundry Aloth. Oh, what experience. I advising the right-wise principles of animancy, just what we've always wanted. As you turn to leave, you catch a darting movement out of the corner of your eye. Bella Sege is humming to herself, still occupied with her scope, but Aloth is holding her notes. He's just about to tuck them into his cloak when he catches you watching. He holds a finger to his lips, his eyes wide and imploring. Please, I don't want my personal information published like this, especially not after her nonsense. Leave me out of this. Not to worry, we'll see to this on our own. Okay. The completed two-side. Anything else we have with her? She's busy. Security reports that shades of the forest lurkers will attack the stronghold in 6 days. Oh boy. That means we have to go back to the keep to defend it. Can that work? 2 hours, that is done. Must be at the stronghold to recruit or dismiss party members. Okay, fair enough. I have the notes. Let's talk to the statue before I move onwards into the big room.
Greetings.
Have you learned anything interesting? Maybe. Is Kedman Azo running experiments on patients here? Experiments? Azo is in charge of patients' welfare. He's not authorized to run any more experiments. I'm disappointed at Kedman. I had hoped he would have been one to guide your inquiry. If in his office or in a patient ward, I'm granting you immediate access so you can find him. No doubt you will wish to speak to him further on this matter. Tread carefully in the wards. There are few dangerous cases. I would ask also that you do your best to not agitate the patients. They have enough troubles as it is. Okay. I can now go and talk to the patients, apparently. Interesting. Hello, handsome. Hope you're doing well, enjoying this playthrough. Tenrigan, I'm loving the game so much so far. Hope you're doing fantastic, and thanks for taking your time to pop over to YouTube instead of Twitch. The warden says you can go in, be careful. Flesh construct. Real. Patient. Oh. Oh, they're all in a big patient room? Oh boy. You must be visiting somehow. A friendly visit, I hope. Why are you in here? I don't want to say you'll think less of me. I'm listening. The last few years haven't been kind to me. They've been... Nah, they haven't been kind to anyone. I try not to think of it personally. I lost my husband and both boys in the Scenes War. My daughter, the legacy, took her before she was ever mine. I made do. What else can you do? I moved to the tiny place in Aura's Gift, gaunt by men in clothes and on other kindness of strangers when I had to. But I was surviving and the gods were watching over me. I could live with Dad. Then one day, this normal woman comes in, wants this fancy gown fixed. Gorgeous thing. This shade of blue I've never seen before. Only I looked at it and it reminded me of something. I had what they call an awakening. I remember being a noblewoman myself in another life. People doting over me. Men doting over me. Me. The best food. The most beautiful home. All the things you've never dared to dream of. They were mine. It was poison knowing that. All those things that I had and I'll never have in this life. But it did something to me. My food started to taste rotten. The walls in my little room seemed to close in. And I stopped being able to sleep in my own bed. So I came here. It was that to break into an estate and start ordering servants around. It seemed like such a silly thing to worry about. Well, you had right before. There's nothing to do but live with it. It's what kept me going, but it hasn't got easier, and that's just too bad. Do you know where I can find Azo? I think he's seen him around today. Have you checked the laboratory? Fair enough. Thank you kindly. What your playthrough makes you want to play this again? Do it. I guess there's multiple outcomes that you can approach and start, you know, work on. Flesh constructs. Some D3s.
I'll see what I can find.
Sanatorium guards. I guess that's the laboratory. No. Close the door. Coins. I'll take those. More coins. House Dominel. Okay, some lore about what seems to be some sort of family. Morning, Zoltar. Lovely to have you as well. Keep your distance. Bicht's in that cell back there. Okay. It's all children's. Was it with all these flesh construct? Are these the guards of that dude that we're looking for? What are you doing? Master Azos said he'd make me better soon.
Hello? Hello?
I love it. What's your character, Tenrigan, that you've created? This looks like a lab. To me. Something churns and bubbles in the tank. Also,
I'm on the trail.
I can do that.
another copper device. A round-faced, balding man turns to face you.
What is the meaning of this?
I need to know if you've seen any unusual behavior out of your patients. You're going to get a lot of looks asking a question like that. In truth, I've spent little time treating them since I've been reduced in my capacities. You might have luck with some of our more functional patients. They tend to congregate in the main area, just past the entrance. Okay. I've heard you were demoted. What happened? It's none of your concern. Did one of the others put you up to this, Audmer? That smug weasel. No, but Ethelmore told me you're not supposed to be doing any more experiments. Yes, well, Ethelmore hasn't done much good for anybody since he had his soul moved into an inanimate object. So I fail to see why I should let that sway me. If animancers are followed the commands of the leaders, where would we be? We'd all be as backwards and willfully ignorant as Raid Keras. Would know nothing about life or death, or even ourselves. We would be lost in the dark with no clue as to why. Our leaders guide us, and without them we risk losing our way. If this man would strike off his own, then let him fend for himself, without the benefits of the sanitarium. I have no interest in arguing about this.
Like so many who stand idly by while a nation slowly collapses into the dust. Apathy and ignorance are the true curse that dooms the Deerwood. Who will solve Widewen's legacy? Some church? Some warrior? It will be an animancer, or it will be no one at all.
Is that so? Have you tried your experiments on any other subjects? I have, yes. No point in lying about it. Now that Ethelmore is involved, I asked for volunteers. I was very close on a breakthrough. They understood that. They understood their sacrifice would mean something. Okay. Looking for an expert on awakenings. Okay.
Light, flame, and sound.
So he's working on some crazy stuff. There's a beer over there. Screams at nights.
Hello? Hello?
You found what you're looking for? What do you know about Animancer Azo? Oh, I like him very much. Many Animancers care less about their patients. Look at us like vermin. But Master Azo treats us like humans, even when they're sick. You can tell he does this to help people. He has helped me understand a great deal about myself, and I know he's done the same for others. You must be visiting someone. What happened to Azo? They didn't like to talk about it, but there was an accident. He was said to be one of the brightest in Durwood. That was his reputation, and that was what brought me to seek treatment. People say it was ego that drove him to try and solve the legacy. But that's hogwash. Even if he was a bit of a showman, he loves his homeland. He thought he could help. He wasn't one to speak of his work. Suspected his colleagues might have tried to steal it, but he told me once that he had figured out a way to create a soul. Not a soul exactly, mind you. How did he put it? A proxy, I think he called it. Had some machine that drew energy out of the very ether. Can you imagine? The point is, I was going to help me with the legacy. I was going to make Hollowborn into something easier to love and care for. Gods know that's something we need. Do you know what they call these empty little babies in Ondra's gift. No, tell me. They call them boyos because so many of them are found floating face down in the water. These are mad times. Anyway, Master Azo had scheduled a public demonstration of his work in the copper lane. He was so excited. And then the next day he was locked in his office, turning away visitors, I heard, and he stopped seeing patients. I don't know exactly what happened, and I don't have the hearts to ask him, but I'm glad they're letting him treat people again. Okay, interesting. Have any other patients been unusual? There's Batiksa, who relives a murder she committed more than 5 lifetimes ago. Adelman, who they say only has half a soul and who is found collecting the faces of others because he believes his own to be a false one. And there's Graham. He speaks in a language no one understands and wails at night sometimes. Different from the normal behavior, I mean. Well, yes, I suppose, but nothing they didn't volunteer for. Master Azel let us know that numbers of patients in the North Ward had a volunteer for the new therapy and would be escorted to his laboratory to receive treatment. The North Ward has our most troubled cases. I'm glad some of them have chosen to get help. And it seems to be getting quieter over since it started. It's Graham. I see them taking in the most. He struggles, but he always was a bit of a wild one. Would I be able to visit the North Ward? They like to keep them separate. I don't know that I've ever seen the guards allow visitors. Just Master Azur. You might ask him. Back to Azur. How do we get access to the North Ward?
What is it now?
I like access to the North Ward. Out of question. Those patients are in isolated for are in isolation for a reason. So you can coerce them into your experiments. Freol told me everything.
She's a patient! That blazing woman knows nothing of the nature of my experiments.
He balls up his fist and digs his teeth into an index finger.
Fine. Speak to them for all the good it'll do you. I'm sure the discussions will be fascinating.
Thank you kindly. Farewell. I have a key for the North Ward. Probably something terrible will happen.
Keeping an eye out.
Ooh. One thief. Okay. Let's see here. Artificer hole has been constructed. The Bailey. The wall. The barracks. Let's build barracks. Is this my face? Tell me. This is not my face. I don't like this. Whose face is this? It's not mine. What the hell? Thundering sky, rain of blood, innocent must drown. The flames must be fed. Watch them rise. Too much silence. Too much. What the This man has the look of his eyes of a haunted animal. And yet, as you approach, he staggers backwards to the far corner of his cell. He cries out a bizarre primal utterance like nothing you've heard before. I need to ask you some questions. Graham looks at you blankly. It is unclear whether he understands you or not, but his panic has momentarily subsided. I don't think he can speak anymore. Not in words, at least. This is monstrous. Thrill said you were being treated by Kedman Azo. He looks at you with uncertainty. Slowly, tentative, he steps closer in the front of the cell. As he does so, for the first time you can perceive his soul within your ken. It is misshapen, as though maimed by some jagged instrument. A large expanse of it has been gouged out entirely. It feels no barriers of resistance. If you wanted to, you could look further into his soul. As it appear. You project out towards the maimed soul in front of you, merging with it. Its confusion and fear becomes yours as it whisks you into its depths. You're in your cell. A key turns. The door creaks open, and thoughts come to you in waves, incomplete, broken, fearful. Standing at the door is a rotund, balding man. His upper teeth and pointy nose remind you of a rat. His beckons apologetic. You don't want to go. Anything else in your mind in a single word, and the word is no. But it dissolves before it reaches your lips. You press against the black wall, cornered. You cry out. In darkness, you fight against unseen restraints. You cannot move your arms or legs. The man walks into the room carrying a little candle. Its meager flame casting long shadows across books and machinery. Strap binds your arm and legs. Cold metal circumscribes the crown of your head and the breadth of your chest. This man is sorry. He's in need of raw material. They dismantle his work and he needs other sources. He needs to show them that he was right, and he thanks you. He turns a knob and you feel yourself begin to crack from within, and you feel pieces of you torn away, like having your insides chewed by a horde of rats, and you're screaming a scream you can barely hear. Continue the search. Another night, heavy footsteps outside the door, coming for you. You look through a slit in your door. The flesh giant, an artificial being just outside, but facing left, facing the ends of the hall. The boy there. The boy looks with interest at the giant, then collapses on the floor like a shed snakeskin. The giant convulses for a moment, then rights itself, turns away and leaves. Graham looks at you, still wild-eyed, but somehow more present. He nods at you, then walks back to the end of his cell. Ooh.
These poor people. This isn't the treatment that they were promised upstairs by the cushioned seats and lush carpets. Is that the cure for soul sickness? To be thrown into a cell and subjected to the whims of your captor?
What were you expecting? I've seen the sick and mad exiled, or else treated like contagious vermin, but I cannot believe that this is the kindest alternative. But if all were treated like this, the sanatorium would never survive. What did these patients do to warrant such condition? Is the source of all the knowledge you were so giddy about. It is one thing to be told as much, other to see it yourself. Let's burn our way. This place gnaws at my soul. I can imagine. It would gnaw at my soul, for all I care.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
So there's a boy at the end of the hallway. A willowy adolescent boy stands at the center of his cell, gawkish and stoop-shouldered. He stares straight ahead. In his state, the barriers between your soul and his are thin. Reach out. You close your eyes, edge forward towards the boy's soul. A sudden malaise comes over you. You're cold and warm all at once, sweating and shivering and straining for breath, as you did on the caravan journey. The soul you approach is the wrong one, a parasitic plant that strangles its host. It is predatory and pitiless, and you've crossed paths with it before. Too late does it occur to you to retract, and already you feel yourself plunging into some interminable abyss of thought and memory. You're standing in a cell now, the same cell in the sanatorium. The halls are moonlit and empty, and you're waiting. At the far end of the ward, the door opens, revealing a flesh golem in silhouettes beneath the stone archway. It makes its usual round, the same stops every time. The misbegotten child of despondent creators. When the construct is closed, you coil yourself up and spring forward, passing out of the boy's body as though it were a membrane. You can sense his body behind, collapsing on the floor, a puppet whose strings are cut. You're rushing towards the golem now, bodiless as a gust of wind. Quickly, you think for yourself. Quickly. And you feel the strength hemorrhaging from your soul as you dart towards the makeshift abomination. You pass into the golem's shell and overtake the soul implanted within, encircling it, suppressing it, and containing in this new vessel you are strong again. You step heavy-footed down the corridors, unheeded by the other constructs and scrutinized only by the very untrustworthy eyes of the mad. Coming at last to an office piled with books and scribbled papers and the perverse implement of animancy, you set your oversized hands upon a large machine, a nest of globes and tubes and coils in the center of the room, and go to work, bending wires and unsettling alignments. The surroundings are pulled past you, or perhaps you are pulled past them, and they dissolve into a blur. When they settle into place again, you're outside on a clear day, standing in front of a crowd stacked high above you on the tired seats of an amphitheater. You're acting for the crowd, standing deliberately still. But this is no play. A balding man with a rodent-like feature is strapping you to a machine the one had tampered with, and you see your arms for the first time, short and fleshly, unmistakably those of a little girl. But this body is not truly yours. Your mind still holds the same determination, the same heartedness as before. The body itself is cold and vacuous, unlike the others. This one has no soul of its own. The man speaks to the crowd, applauds with an enthusiasm worthy of a hero's entrance. "Bear witness," he says as he pulls the lever. The machine shivers and sparks, and a bed of sweat rolls down the side of the man's brows. But the crowd's apprehension quickly gives way to the awe as a crystal globe fills with a radiant mist that casts the entire theater aglow. He opens a valve, and the globe crawls through the tube along the length of the copper wiring that runs to a set of electrodes beneath your armpits. You feel nothing when it reaches you, as it should be, for you have been leading his work astray periodically for some time, altering the notes and setting, and playing puppeteer for Hollowborn. But you make it look how people would expect it to look when a body is infused with soul. In a moment the machine goes dark, and the man unstraps you, eyeing you with sentience concern. He looks back at the crowd. "Behold," he says, but there is obvious hesitation in the voice. Slowly you take the plodding step forward, then another, and you look upon the man, giving him the eye contact of which no Hollowborn is capable, and the crowd gasps. The man looks relieved. "How do you feel?" he asks at a volume meant for the crowd. And in this moment, at the top of your lungs, you let out a piercing shriek. The man comes towards you, his hand outstretched, but you run the other way, back to the machine. With all your strength, you drive your head into the crystal globe and it shatters, streaking your head with warm blood. You drive your head down onto the surface of the machine again and again. drawing panic screams from the crowd, and by the time the man reaches you, your body has already ceased proper function and merely twitches on the cold ground. Satisfied, you depart the corpse in search of another unsuspected host. Who could put their faith in animancy now? You're pulled again from your surroundings, transcending the boundaries of memories and lifetimes deeper and deeper past betrayals and murders and lies upon lies that form the thick webbing of plots beyond mortal comprehension. You settle, at last, on the room you have seen before, expansive, with a tall device and a caving and Adra monolith in its center. The room is filled with people, and the people all look at the device. You're ranked suddenly back to reality, and the once catatonic boy in the cell looking directly at you, upraising, calculating. There's no mistaking now that it is the soul of the man who caused your awakening that gazes out from the bowered husk. Oh, a watcher. You made me into a watcher. I need you to undo it. Is that so? He makes an effort to hide his disinterest, but he continues to search your eyes. He makes a slight grunting noise, as if his eyes soften for an instant. I know you look. You hunger. You hunger for answers that elude you. It gnaws at your soul. It usurps your reason for being. You're like everyone. I will help you let go. He dodges backwards with startling grace, putting himself out of reach. On his face there is no malice, only the dispassion of a farmer putting down a sick animal. Then suddenly, he slumps forward. Oh shit. Uh-oh. Oh boy. What is happening? The whole war just exploded open. Oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. We'll see how we come out of this situation.